Morning. Sorry, I'm late. I had the mic on mute. I apologize for that. All right, so this morning we'll continue looking at at snails within the aquarium. As I shared the last class, that I a few years ago I went to the river and I collected some hyacinth lilies and not seeing a clutch of eggs, pond snail eggs at the back rear side or back side of one of the plants. I ended up washing the plant and I ended up placing the plant in my pond. And from ever since, I've been plagued by pond snails within my system. So the last time when we met was Wednesday morning, and I share with you seven snails type of snails that persons I would say that it is good for you to keep. You can keep if you intend to keep snails, right? I talk about seven different snails. I talk about um black devil snails, talk about rabbit snails, talk about Japanese trapdoor snails, mystery snails, horn nereid snails, tiger nereid snails, still, I'm still sleeping, snails, right? Zebra nereid snails, and talking about also the whole ramzan and trumpet and all that snails, right? Okay, so today we're going to pick up talking about snails. We're going to talk about the snails that actually affect your aquarium, or should I say the snails that you should never ever try to introduce within your aquarium or your pond. Right? These snails are like terrible. Oh, it's another morning, another Friday morning. I can't believe that the week has ended so quickly. I mean, like it's like the other day it was Monday. Now it is Friday, entering into another weekend. Now tomorrow evening at about 8 o'clock. Tomorrow evening at about 8 o'clock, I'll go live, and I will be talking about the nitrogen cycle. Right, so you don't want to miss that. We talk about the nitrogen cycle, nitrifying bacteria, beneficial bacteria within your yeah, let me say the beneficial bacteria within your aquarium, right? We talk about that. We're gonna get the nitrogen cycle from. All right, so we talk about that within your aquarium space. We talk about how you cycle your aquarium. We talk about best best choice of cycling your aquarium very quickly and safely, right? Starting Sunday, this Sunday, I'll be launching my algae series, in which several other fish channel owners, or should I say, personalities, will be presenting on different sides of algae, from the type of algae to human using algae, fish food algae, controlling algae, different type of algae that impacts on aquarium. Yeah, that's Sunday, starting about probably about in the evening. Yeah, right. So I have about probably about 9 or 10 presentation on algae, and that should bring me back to the other week, probably about Monday, Tuesday, right? So you don't want to miss that. And again next week, between Monday to Friday, I'll be on in the morning 6 to 7. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 6 to 7. I'm on live, so you don't want to miss that, right? All right. So for this morning, let's get into this morning topic. Let's get into what we are going to be focusing on. This morning we're focusing on snails within the aquarium. Snails are known to be beneficial in several ways within the aquarium, right? Snails kind of help to maintain the what do you call it now, the amount of biological waste that exists within the aquarium. Snails by no means are vegetarians. They will consume the carbs of dead fish or dead organisms within your aquarium space. They also consume biological matter, right? Other biological matter such as fish waste, right? Snails serve as a means of stirring up your aquarium substrate. So whenever there is like feed that the fish never consume, you don't have it. Hey, morning freshwater Chinooks. Blessed, blessed. This morning we're talking about bad snails and how you manage that. But you always have some preliminaries before we start, right? So we're just refreshing as to what we did last week. Well, last week, Wednesday, right? Snails stir up the substrate. So if you have like a hand back filtration system, right? When the snails stir up the substrate, yeah, all of those mess that exist within the substrate will actually start to float within the water, and eventually it will end up into the hang on the back filtration system. All right, but there are other cons, there are other issues with snails. One, snails tend to overrun your aquarium or your pond system by multiplying too fast, more than how you can actually manage. Snails will eat your aquarium plants, right? They can also be what do you call it now? They can also serve as a means of diminishing your the growth in your stock, in the sense that, let's say that you have some egg scatterers. Snails will consume the eggs as soon as the egg scatterers release the egg, even if it's between rocks, right? The snails will dig their way into the creases of the gravel substrate, so as to consume the eggs. And some fish, they are cichlids, yes, but they are not that type of fighting cichlids. They might also fall prey to having snails in the system, in the sense that as soon as they lay the eggs, and they're there, the snails at night, because snails mostly act at night, will move in for the eggs and will actually consume it. Thus you will end up have a reduced, well, should I say, a non-growing aquarium fish stock. Unlike me, probably you might like the whole idea of having snails as to control the population, because some persons have the aquarium fish and they do not like the idea of breeding them, because of several different reasons, right? They might have one aquarium, they don't intend to get any more, they don't want the aquarium to be overstocked, and they have some fish that lay eggs, especially like egg scatterers. They don't want any accidental breeding, so they get some snails so as to consume the eggs as soon as the eggs actually fall in the creases of the rock substrate. Okay, fine, cool. But for me, that wouldn't work, because my aim of the game is to actually keep fish, to breed them and to trade them. So the other day I sold a couple goldfish. I'm trying to sell off entire batch which I have. I have probably about 38 left. So I'm trying to sell them off so as I can go into some peacocks and obies into that pond. Anyway, too much preliminaries now. It's roughly about 9 minutes. Hey, Ron J, what's up? What's up? It's like I was waiting on you to return, because the last a while ago, I mean, it's a last class. The last time when we spoke, we were talking about, yeah, you mentioned some snails. Well, yeah, bladder snails, I think. My mind actually ran on you, saying that, boy, when I start, I hope that Ron J is there, because this gentleman actually started to talk about bladder snail, what about bladder snails and all that. So that's practically where we're gonna start. The last time we spoke about black devil snails as a good snail in which you can keep within your system. Let's look at some bad snails now. Bladder snails, bladder snails, right? Let me get something straightened out here. All right, cool. Now, bladder snails don't get very big. Only about half. Yeah. Bladder snails versus pond snails. I would say pond snails will win, boss. Trust me. pond snails are so nagging and annoying, especially within a system where in which you have um fish that doesn't really consume them. Like for example, you have some live bearers, you know, I mean, like pond snail is like just looking really awful, and I don't know how they reproduce so quick, and they reproduce in massive amount. Anyway, Ran, let's start with bladder snails. No, bladder snails don't get very big. It's about probably about half inch, 1.5, 1.25 centimeters long. They're about like a muddy color, like muddy brown, yeah, with some little speckles, right? Their shells are mostly round. One end is slightly pointed, so they mostly appear just a bit asymmetrical, right? They can reproduce with both sexuality. They can, you know, asexually and sexually, and I guess that's one of the reasons why they they reproduce so much. I mean, they can actually, one snail can reproduce right by itself without another, right? Yeah, but like that, they are hermaphroditic. They're like, they have hermaphrodite, you know, genetical genetics, right? And can actually fertilize their own eggs. Um, yeah, yeah, they do look cute, they do look good, but they are really pesty, right? And if unlike some of the snails run that we mentioned the last time, I mentioned the last time, Wednesday, right, where I talk about snails. If you want them not to really separate them, you have male in one aquarium and female in one aquarium. That is not going to work for the bladder snails. The bladder snails don't really business. They will reproduce, lay the eggs and fertilize their own eggs, and you know, and that is just so crazy. The population of that snail will just increase so massively, right? I mean, hey Judy, hey Jude, nice seeing you. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. Thank you for joining, but yeah, all the way from the Philippines. I appreciate you being here. Um, I met you the other day. I saw you made a comment on one of my videos. I appreciate it. I heard that you have some streaming today with someone. I'm gonna check you out, and I might join you on that stream. Yes, yes, cool. Thank you for being here. Today we're talking about snails in your aquarium. You know, you have several different snails. Wednesday morning, I go live Monday, Wednesday, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights between 8 and 9. This week, I'm talking about snails, and today we're talking about good snails. Well, today we're talking about good snails on Wednesday. We're talking about bad snails today, and tomorrow night, 8 to 9, we'll be talking about you know, the cycling of your aquarium, the bacteria, beneficial bacteria. We'll talk about that tomorrow night. I know that you're not all that in yeah, I know my friend. I know Yan J is good friends, right? Cool. I know that you're not really into fish keeping, but you're a supporter of fish channels, and that's so awesome. Okay, everyone. So as I talk about bladder snails, they are like hermaphrodites. They have both sex. They can breed crazy within your system, right? Putting tons of waste that breaks down into ammonia, right? So in a sense, they are like you know, a contribution to your problems within an aquarium space. So I would stay far from bladder snail. Hey, freshwater Chinooks. Yes, boss. Bless up, bless up. Freshwater Chinooks, where are you from? Alright. Okay, so as far as bladder snails is concerned, in addition to reproducing very fast, they add to your bio load, right? And it creates a foul odor. Yes, they might not eat your plant, but they reproduce very. They might reproduce. They do reproduce very rapidly, right? And in addition to that, their waste foul water, and so therefore the water smell a little funky, right? So I wouldn't keep it, because having one bad, yes, but after a while you're gonna see several others. Oh, you're from Canada. Okay, cool. Having one is one thing, Ron, but having several, that's where the issue comes in, right? After about a week or so, you're gonna see another, then you're gonna see another, then you're gonna see several all over the place, and you'll be like wondering, how is it I so many snails within the system, and I never see the eggs. That's because they actually reproduce, I guess, in the water, somewhere there about, probably on the flip side of the plant, or somewhere there about, and they're just gonna cause a lot of problem within your system. Some persons might keep them because of how they look around, but as far as ensuring that your plants and your should I say, not your plants, your water and your fish have a good water chemistry, I would practically stay away from bladder snail. Their population only grow to match the food supply, right? So therefore, if you tend to feed a lot, if you have a lot of fish stock and you feed a lot, they will reproduce based on the amount of food that they have. So I guess, Ron, what is happening is that you are not having much bladder snails being reproduced within your system, because you're practically feeding sparingly. They don't have that amount of food so as to supply additional snails within the system, right? I guess in that sense, you can see that you have been managing your system. Now they also make way into the filter within your aquarium, and they will gladly eat the gunk of the filter. See, they will even go into the filter, right, Rohan. They will go into the filter, right? And they will actually eat the gunk of the filter pads. Those things that is collected from the aquarium itself. If you have the hang on back filter, it will just climb onto the little thing that goes into the water, and it will find a way into the filter, and it will actually eat the liquor gum. And for those persons having sponge filter, it will clamp to the sponge filter and just try to eat whatever it can from that. Yeah, yeah. Feeding sparingly is one of the things that you use so as to manage that type of snail, right? Bearing in mind that this snail, it just reproduced crazy, right? It reproduced crazy and hard to get rid of. Once you have bladder snails within your system, brother, it's like a task, a work to get rid of these snails, and it gets into your filter, and sometimes it actually clog up your filter, right? It's really annoying, and it contributes to the poop, the bio load within your aquarium space. And although in a sense, what I guess one of the reasons why some persons might not mind a one or two bladder snail is that bladder snail tend to consume algae. So therefore, snails in general kind of help to manage algae. So persons tend to ignore some of the marked signs which indicates that the snails are just not good for the aquarium. All right. Yesterday, well, Wednesday, when I was talking about snails, I mentioned mystery snails, right? Some persons in some countries, for example, Daniel keeping fish says that where is that? In Europe, they are not allowed to get mystery snails, right? Some snails are just difficult to keep because of how they populate and how they cause problem whenever they are large in numbers. Now, snails. Malaysian trumpet snails is another snail that is considered bad for your aquarium. It reminds me of a unicorn horn, right? These little guys are like hermaphrodites also, and they breed crazy. You just get one, and they lay the eggs and they fertilize their eggs by themselves, right? So after a while, you think you have a snail. After a while, you end up with several snails, right? Chinook says, then pond snails like leaving egg sacs on the outside of the decay. Oh, yeah. Leaves in all time. I have some there. Yeah, exactly true. Exactly true, my friend. Right? Pond snails is another snail, but I don't get to that one yet. Let's continue looking at Malaysian snail a little bit. Right now, Malaysian trumpet snail, as I said before, it's as if all the snails that poses problem within your aquarium or your pond space are hermaphrodite in construct, in genealogical makeup. Right? I mean, they actually one snail have both the male and female genes, and they can just reproduce, fertilize the eggs, and you have babies coming on, right? Malaysian trumpet still goes for a month without no food, and they can even survive things like bleach. I guess that is one of the reasons why I ended up with some of them within my pond system, because when I get my plants, I normally soak them in chlorine bleach, and then and soaking them in chlorine bleach for like probably about 2 or 3 hours, and then I will place them into my pond. Sometimes the plants itself look wilted, right, as if it's going to die. The way I place the amount of bleach I actually place in the water so as to get rid of parasites, right? Yeah, man, for real. Chunks, yeah, man, them terrible, right? Terrible. So if you're planning to get some Malaysian trumpet snails, try know that they are just like the bladder snail. They give problems. They are hermaphrodites. They reproduce. They lay the eggs. They fertilize the eggs, and the babies come and it's like they just reproduce profusely. Now, as I said, I soak my plants so as to get rid of parasite, because where I usually collect my plants, it was like along a riverside, and along the riverside you have some amount of garbage, right? So you have different parasite that might exist on the plant itself. So I normally get the plants, put them into a tub, and carry them home, and then get the hose, wash them off, literally wash off leaf for leaf, and then I would actually soak it in some bleach water, and it would stay there for a couple of hours, and then I replace it in the pan itself. But sometimes the egg larvae itself actually hides somewhere somehow, and eventually I end up with some snails within my pan system, and these snails are like causing problem. Now on top of that, predator like pea puffer, right? Pea puffers and assassin snails don't really like to eat them, right? So you're gonna have those snails for a long while. So if you put assassin snails within the aquarium or within the pond with the intention that they are going to help you to get rid of Malaysian trumpet snails, try know that people first and assassin snails don't like these snails to consume. So therefore it's gonna be a hassle, it's gonna like remain with you for a bit. Chances are you're gonna have to literally remove these snails by hand, right? I guess it's a little bit easier for persons keeping aquariums than for persons keeping ponds to actually manage the snails within their system. Because if you have 100 gallon aquarium with substrate, and you find that you have a snail population. Hey, lunatic fringe, nice seeing you, boss. We're talking about snails this morning, talking about bat snails to keep in your aquarium, right? And we're at Malaysian trumpet snails. All right. So if you find that you have some amount of snails within your system, you can actually siphon them out using a hose, because you have your lights in your aquarium, so you can see them, and you can actually, siphon them out, and you can get rid of them. But if you have like a pond system like me, right, where you have um 1,000, 2,000, 500 gallon, 100 gallon pond system. The ponds are not like easy to look in. What you find is that the snails will hide and populate, and you end up have a system where in which it's just difficult for you to manage them, right? Malaysian trumpet snails are really difficult to kill off, right? I mean to get rid of out of your system. They reproduce very quickly, and they can reproduce by themselves. So you have one, and you think that okay, one snail, that's good, that's good. And then after a week, you see another, then you see another. You know, they are just reproducing like crazy, right? So that's it with Malaysian trumpet snails. Somebody was talking about pond snails. I think Canucks and Canucks and Ron. We're talking about pond snails. I think Ron was actually alluding to whether or not pond snails or bladder snails, which of the two are most terrible. I would say pond snails, right? Now, there are several different species of pond snails that can hitchhike into your aquariums or ponds. For me, let me see what Ron is saying. Something. Okay, I caught a wild loach and it was trying to eat. Yeah, I put him them out of his shell. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for like people of us, and as you say, loach to actually suck up the snail out of the shell. So it's getting a predator that will actually consume these snails is like it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a challenge, Ron. Let's look at the pan snail situation. Now, as I said before, one of the reasons why I'm paying so much interest to snails within system is that I myself have experienced snails hitchhiking on plants that I got from the river, and do not feel that because you have actually purchased your plants from, let's say, a pet shop or a fish store, a plant store, that your plant will not have snails on it, right? Or your plant will not have parasites on it. Just like how you have your fish getting sick, carrying home disease, you're placing that fish within aquarium with other fish, and the other fish get the disease. Same too with plants. Plants also carry parasites and stuff that you don't want in your system. So just as how you will actually quarantine your fish for a few weeks, and it is recommended, although most persons don't, but it is recommended that you quarantine your fish for at least 3 months before you're placing your fish with your regular fish stock. Um, I don't know much persons who actually quarantine their fish that long, but it is the recommendation. It is recommended that within these 3 months that you will actually identify any problems with that new fish or with that new plant within your system. So therefore, you won't end up inoculating or infecting your entire system with a new addition, whether it be plants or whether it be another aquatic life, right? As I said before, pond snails are one of those snails. They are small, yes. Are one of those snails that hitchhike on your plants. Even when you are actually, like, let's say you're moving items from one aquarium to the next, it will actually hitchhike on these items. So therefore, you think you have problems in one aquarium with snails. Okay, you're maintaining that aquarium, but you're moving over stuff, even on the thing that you use and to catch the fish and the net. These snails will just hitchhike on it, right? They are usually a dark brown color with a pointy spiral shell that flares out drastically. It has a little twist around um that one little twist around, right? And where the snail's foot like emerges out of the shell. Another clue that you have got a pond snail within your system is that they grow and mature very quickly. So if it seems like the snails cruising around your tank get bigger every 5 minutes, they are probably some kind of pond snails, right? Because they really go. It's unlike the apple snails or one of those big snails that you might have within your aquarium system. they grow very fast, right? Some snails, some pond snails get pretty large, right? And they can have shell up to 2 inches, 5 centimeters. But normally they are not that big. The reason why I say that they are small initially is because usually in my pond system, it's like they are small, because as soon as they really get certain size, I normally spot them and throw them out. So based on my experience, I don't allow them to get that large, right? Their big size means that they put off a lot of waste, and that can really affect your water quality. One of the things that a lot of persons ignore as far as keeping snails. Yes, snails help to stir up the substrate and um fan the waste within the substrate towards the hang and back filter or towards the filtration system. Thus, the filtration system is able to quicker grab the waste from what is being dug up by the snail, and actually hold it within the filter pads, within the filter system. However, snails, whenever they consume, they will have to release waste, and this waste causes problem, results in problem within your water quality. I remember your aquarium fish requires pristine water so as to reproduce, to grow healthy, and to also to behave normal. And if your water quality is not up to par, your fish will get sick and they will die. Now, pond snail have a huge appetite, and they will eat the algae. They will also start to eat your plants if they can't find food, right? So for those persons who have a healthy aquarium, the aquarium is always clean with, you remove the aquarium food whenever it's not eaten, you siphon out all of that, and you ensure that there's no algae on the glass, and you see these snails on the plants. They are actually going to eat the plants because you don't have any food in the aquarium or the pond for them to consume. So they're gonna eat your plants. Unlike other snails that doesn't eat your plant, pond snails will consume your plant and will cause problem. And also they reproduce a lot, and they are asexual. So it's not like you can get one and decide, say, boy, listen, I only have one, so they will not cause any problem. All right, so that's it with pond snails. All right, the next snail in which I will never ever place within my aquarium space are upper snails. Now there are several species of upper snails, all from the same snail family. I can't call that word apple, larigid, or whatever it means, right? Now they have several different colors: white, yellow, blue, purple. Right, their shell are mostly like round with a pointed word swirl light, and uh, it like it turned on its sides. They look like an old-fashioned spinning top. When I was small, I usually use this thing. Wow. Where are you again? Somewhere in Europe, right? Luna the Fringe. So Luna the Fringe, where is that? It's snowing. Wow. I got a picture. I got a picture as I talk about. I'm breaking a little bit. Give me a sec. I got a picture 2 days ago showing me the streets of Brooklyn, when it's within a particular area. Whenever I visit the states, I visit that area. The place is actually covered with snow. I mean, the sidewalk is covered with snow. The cars is like halfway up covered with snow, right? Oh yeah, Canada. Yeah, Canada. Right, but being in Canada, snow, having a lot of snow is like not a what I call it now, at a like dramatic situation. It's always snowing in Canada. Well, at least what I know about Canada, upper part of Canada, is like it's always cold. All right. Okay, so let's get back to looking at the upper snails. Now, upper snails, as I said, it have a mostly, should I say, a swirly, a round swirly, like a round swirly, like Okay, boss. Okay. Yeah, man. Cool. Appreciate that, boss. All right, a friend of mine is listening, and he just shared with me that. All right, so apple snails, they are like they look like old fashioned spinning top, right? And I would never ever place these the snail type within my system, right? It's just horrendous. Keeping some snail species, especially those that can actually those snailfish species that are regarded as asexual. Meaning that they have both male and female genetics. They can actually reproduce. Some species have escaped into the wild in the states, and are considered to be like serious serious problem negatively, as they actually impacts on wildlife. And as I said before, as far as snails are concerned, right? Snails tend to consume plants, right? So apple snail is no stranger to this anomaly, in the sense that it will consume your plant. Even rabbits are impressed by how quickly apple snail can reproduce, right? I mean, apple snails can you know that rabbits reproduce very quickly, right? So whenever persons are like throwing spat at each other, and they might say, "Go ahead," yeah, like in Jamaica, that is, "Go ahead, you breed like rabbit." Rabbit is like a downplay to rabbits to even what rabbit snail. Although you have a snail in rabbit snail, right? Rabbit is like a downplay to this type of snail, right? In the sense that they can actually lay between 2 to 600 eggs at a time, right? And they will completely overrun your aquarium space, right? It's just crazy having these snails within here. Hey, Stars Entertainment, no respect. Yes, no, well, um, not really. Some persons use assassin snail, and I haven't spoken about assassin snails as yet. But what I've said is that even the assassin snail might find it a problem consuming the trumpet snail, Malaysian trumpet snail. The Malaysian trumpet snail is so difficult to manage within your system, right? That the people for and the assassin snail have problems consuming them. So even if you say you're going to control your snail population within your aquarium or within your pond, right? This is just not going to probably work for you. So I have not looked at assassin snails as yet, right? I have not looked at assassin snails as yet. Assassin snails are good snails to have, right? In the sense that it actually helps to keep your aquarium snail population down, right? Assassin snail, as the word suggests, right? Snails that actually consume other. I mean, if you see an assassin snail in work, you'll be amazed, right? So snails can be snails can be really difficult to manage within your aquarium. Assassin snails are bumblebee snails, right? Is a species of they they are most of their like their lineage are within freshwater aquarium, right? Their size are roughly about let me see, assassin snails are roughly about probably about 3 inches, right? Sometimes they might be like about a quarter, 3/4 of an inch. So when you see them in the stores, right? And under the right condition, mature assassin snail can go like maximum size, probably about 3.5 inches in size. Many hobbyists keep them in the aquarium, so as to um keep their snail population unchecked, right? As far as assassin snake tank size, you can keep an assassin in probably about and you see entertainment. I am actually going into assassin snail at the moment. You could say assassin snail is a carnivore, right? It feeds on dead organic matter, and it also feed on live moving snails. It will actually survive that way, right? The pH is between 7.5 to about 7.8, right? And the temperature in keeping this fish is between 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or in Jamaica, we say Celsius, right? It's about between 24 to 26.5 degrees Celsius. That's a snail that I missed in the good list of snails, right? Its diet, as I said before, is a carnivore. I would say that its temperament is not that aggressive, but it's like moderate, right? As I said before, the minimum tank size would be probably about 5 gallon, or what you call 19, about 19 liters, right? Now, assassin snails, you might have them looking different in let's say in color, right? And as I said before, they are from a list of snails that they are from a list of snails that actually exist within the saltwater aquarium, right? They will eat other snails, and they usually only consume small, like the favorite snail to consume is like pest snails. No, so if you want to add some of these, um it will be really good, so as to manage your snail population, right? The question is often asked: will your assassin snail actually consume fish? Well, assassin snail only known for consuming dead fish. Um, if there are not enough small snails in the aquarium, their diet can be supplemented with, like let's say, fish food, right? And bloodworms and meaty foods, right? They will attack. The social behavior is known to be attacking other snails and consuming them. They are like, as I said before, their temperament. Bless up, boss. Enough respect. Rob 93. Thank you for contributing to the channel, brother. Appreciate it. All right, cool. So respect stars entertainment. Yeah, man. They won't really trouble your plants. You just feed them with the normal fish food, and they will be all right. And I can tell you that if you have any dead organic matter, enough respect, my boss. Enough respect. Thank you for the contribution, sir. I appreciate it. It will go to good use in actually strengthening my channel as it goes forward. Enough respect. All right. So as I talk about assassin snails, they are good to have, and but not because you don't have other pest snails or other snail for you to consume. That doesn't mean that you're not going to supply with the, as I said before, it's a carnivore. So you're going to supply with like tubiflex worm, or probably you can actually put some meaty type of fish food in it, food that you feed, like let's say cichlids that are carnivores. You probably put some a small amount within the aquarium space, and it will be okay, right? It consumes dead fish, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna allow your dead fish to stay in the aquarium, because dead fish will actually damage your water chemistry and result in health issues for your remaining fish stock. Thus, your aquarium might be unhealthy to the fish that actually live within it. All right. Okay. All right. So far we have looked at probably about four snails that are considered not really healthy for your aquarium. That's bladder snails, Malaysian trumpet snails, pond snails, and also apple snails, right? Now let's look at how I actually get rid of snails from my system, right? How I actually get rid of snails from my system, right? All right. My personal experience, what I have done, right? I got some lettuce, freshly picked lettuce. Like when you're gonna be preparing your meal and you have vegetables, they like leafy. Snails like leafy vegetables, right? Especially the pest snails and the pond snails and the trumpet snails. What I did was to find a place within my pond. I place the lettuce in the pond. I like probably when it's gonna get like in the late in the evening, turn off the lights. A matter of fact, it's my pond system I have them in. So I turn off the outside light, and in the early morning, what I did, I got up and I actually removed the lettuce. And in removing the lettuce, what I find is that a bunch of snails are on the lettuce because the lettuce are really nutritious to them. They like it, right? So a bunch of snails are on the lettuce, and I am able to actually remove the lettuce, wash off the lettuce, get rid of those on the lettuce, and the next night I do the same thing over and over until eventually all the snails in the pond actually were out. But being it that I have 28 systems, guys. It's really difficult for me to do this with all of my ponds, right? It's really time consuming, right? So what happened is that moving plants from one pond to the next actually resulted in snails actually being reintroduced to the different ponds. So I just give up, and whenever I do get the chance, I'll do the physical process of actually going through my pond, releasing the water, going through the substrate, and physically removing all of the snails from my pond. And then I will actually refill the water, replace the water that I actually remove, and I find that that's like time consuming, but it actually help in the maintenance, or should I say, the reduction of snail population within my aquarium space, right? So that's what I do, right? In addition to actually managing snails, pest snails that exist within your aquarium or within your pond, right? What I also do is to limit the amount of food that I actually feed my fish. My fish will not starve. My fish lives in the pond, and the pond have a lot of microscopic organism that lives within the algae. My fish will actually consume. That's my small fish, my live bears, like my mollies, my guppies, my what I call it, gambosa, or I call it mosquito fish, right? They will consume the algae and the microscopic organism on the side. So therefore, in limiting the amount of food that I feed my fish, that is removing the also when I feed my fish, I remove the food that is not eaten by the fish after 5 minutes, right? And I find that the snail population is practically removed, being reduced. You can limit the amount of snails in your aquarium by limiting the food that they do eat, right? If you step up and doing your water changes, like doing vacuuming your gravel, inspecting your plants for eggs, removing dead plants, stop overfeeding, um deal with the algae issue, meaning that probably you might use UV light. You might end up shift your aquarium from the space in which it is at, so that it doesn't get that amount of sunlight from the window or from the door, so as to build up the amount of algae that exists within your aquarium space. With this, what you find is that there is a small amount of algae within the system, so the snail is unable to feed itself, so the snail eventually will die off, and you'll find yourself having a small amount of snails within your system, right? As I said before, the lettuce works for me because it's much easier. Just put the lettuce, yeah, put the lettuce in the pan, and it works. And the next morning I get up very early before the sun comes up, and I remove the lettuce, and I got quite a number of snails swinging on that lettuce, enjoying themselves, and I just shake them off on the floor, and insects actually consume them. This doesn't get rid of the snails though, the physical removal and the prevention of, well, limiting, cutting back on the food that you actually feed them. It doesn't really get rid of them in totality, because you're going to still have some amount of them left in there roaming around the pond. But at the same time, it might be more manageable, right? I mean, I had situation where snails were like crawling on top of each other, right, in the pond, right, while my fish is actually swimming around. I mean, it look crazy and nasty, right? To me, probably some persons might view it as looking awesome, but for me, it's not. If you remove a bunch of snails in trapping, and what I mentioned about the the lettuce is a form of trapping, right? You might find that this the snail population might explode again, right? Because you might end up place lettuce there. Some snails might come in the night and consume, get their belly full, and gone somewhere, gonna sit down, right? So the snails that you actually got off the lettuce in the early morning might end up just be snails that just start to munch on the lettuce. So if you can actually remove the lettuce periodically, don't let it stay too long, you'll find that it will be more beneficial. Probably let it stay about probably about 2 hours, 3 hours, and then remove it and then replace it. That now prevent the snails from actually consuming, moving away, laying eggs, and end up in the not too distant future, you actually have a balloon of snail population within your system, right? This is considered as free food for your snails. Manual removal is a little bit, helpful, um, especially for those snails that is like, I mean, like the numbers are like crazy, right? It's a good way of grabbing the snails and showing them the boot out of your aquarium or your pond. But trust me, it's not a nice idea, because it really takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. I mean, I have ponds outside, and ponds are like 500 gallons. Now, when I measure up all the water that I will have to dig through, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. I would probably have to spend like about 2 days just picking out snails out of my pond system, right? Probably you might not have that problem. You might have probably about 2 or 3 snails in your 100 gallon or 50 gallon or 25 gallon. It might be easier. As I said earlier on, eradicating snails from your aquarium is much easier than eradicating snails from ponds. Right? The easiest way to get rid of snails from your ponds is to actually introduce, and this is something that I've employed for the past couple of months. Actually, introduce fish that consume snails within the system. So let's say that you have problems with snail. You purchase some assassin snails and you place in there. And although some, well, I wouldn't say some, I would say trumpet snails is a little bit a problem to control, right? The puffer, pea puffer, which will normally consume snails, they have this strong mouth, this locking jaw, so they have no problem crushing the shell of the snail so as to get to the meat and the matter, right? However, they are not too fond of trumpet snails, and trust me, I have tried crushing trumpet snails between my fingers. Sometimes I have some snail, oh, I call it um bloom, snail bloom, if there's anything like that, explosion, should have better for word, right? And I get some snails, and instead of throwing them to the ground, I might pick up the snails, place them in a container, and then I will like crush them and then feed them back to the fish, and the fish loves it. The fish just eat the meaty part out of the shell, and they just move away, right? Especially my mosquito fish, they love that, right? But crushing my 2 fingers crushing the trumpet snails. I mean, my fingers, like it's very difficult. So I understand what the assassin snail and the people for snail is actually experiencing as far as crushing the trumpet snail shell. I mean, it's like crazy tough, right? So it's very, very difficult, right? Chopping is another way in which you manage, right? As I said before, one way in which I use to chop is use the lettuce and I remove it in the morning. You can chop matter of fact, you can purchase snails chop at a pet store, right? They have, these days everything is modernized. Right? The whole lettuce trick is something that is like a old trick in the book regarding getting certain things out of your aquarium, right? These days they have everything sold in stores. I mean, like everything. I mean, every single thing that you need for your aquarium, people sell it. People are not creative anymore, doing DIY, doing stuff that actually enhance their creativity. Person just purchase stuff. No, you have chops, right? You have chops that you actually can purchase and chop your snail. You can actually make your own chop, right? I'm going to explain to you how you make your own traps for snails, right? You need 20-ounce plastic water bottle, right? Um, heavy duty scissors, vegetable like lettuce, carrot, broccoli, and small rocks or a handful of aquarium gravel. All right. First thing you do, you cut the top, you cut the top of the water bottle completely off, probably about a third, right? Then you place the vegetables inside the bottle, right? And place the small rocks or gravel in the bottom of the bottle so that the bottle will float up with the vegetables, right? Okay, then you invert the top of the bottle into the bottom, right? So therefore you cut out the top of the you cut off the top of the bottle, right? Like you have those soda bottles, right? And when you cut off like probably where you have the ring around it, you cut off that, you place the stone in it, you place the vegetable in it, and then you turn the part down. So you turn the part where the cork on the bottle would go, right? You turn that part. You're going to remove the cork, right? You take off the cork, right? I turn it down into the bottle itself, right? Hey, boss. No, no hey, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Mad Dogs TV. Enough respect. We're talking about controlling your snails within your aquarium space. And I'm at where you actually make your own trap so as to get those pesky things out of your aquarium. Now, after cutting the bottle and placing the bottle, like that section, the top section, placing it inside of it, it's gonna be looking like a funnel. So it's like you turn the funnel down into the lower half of the bottle, right? So you allow it to stay in place. Probably you might end up place a little rock here and there so as to ensure that it stay firm, right? Now place the trap in your tank or in your pan and leave it there overnight. Make sure the bottle sits straight up and not on the side. That way the fish won't enter into it, and also the snails might find it a little bit difficult to actually exit as quick as how they enter. Biggie support group, Wagwan, boss. Nice seeing you, my boss. Thank you for joining. Respect. Thank you for joining, boss. Respect. All right, up top. One up, brother. One love. There, All right. So, you make it stay upward. So the bottle is upward within the aquarium or within the pond. You make it stay there overnight. Now in the morning, you remove the bottle from the aquarium and discard the snails that exist within it. Because the snails will actually go into the bottle in search of the vegetables. They will find it difficult to actually exit. Now, what I did before in my personal space, in my personal pond, what I do is to actually place the vegetable just by itself into the pan. So therefore, the snails in the pond would actually go in and they will actually consume the lettuce, and sometimes they might end up fall off the lettuce. But with the bottle, they are in there, and it's a little bit difficult for them to actually exit as quick as how they would want to. Now, if you have ornamental shrimp in the tank, they'll get stuck in the trap because they too will also be trying to check out the vegetable that you have in that system, right? So limited food supply and trap is one of the best strategy in actually managing, let's say, snails like Malaysian trumpet snails, right? With regards to the shrimp, if you have shrimp in the system, I would check this. I would check it before I actually discard of the snail within that bottle. But the trap is something that I've used before. Yeah, and it have worked. Also, getting predators such as puffers and loaches can help to actually reduce the amount of snails that exist within your aquarium. And in addition to those two fish that I mentioned, you can also add assassin snails. One of the methods before I look, I know I have actually gone over my hour, but bear with me a little bit. If you want to get rid of the snails decently, you can also the pest snails. You can also add copper to your aquarium. The copper will actually wipe out all the invertebrates in the aquarium though. You can add a piece of copper within the aquarium, and in no space of time, your aquarium will be free of all invertebrates, including snails, right? So if you want to get rid of the copper, there are strategies in which you can use to get rid of the copper. You can actually research that. I don't have much time to go through that because my 60 minutes that has been budgeted for is up. I thank you very much for stopping by, guys. Biggies, nice to see you, brother. Enough respect. Catch you tomorrow night, 8 to 9, as I talk about cycling the aquarium, as I talk about nitrifying bacteria, I talk about beneficial bacteria. What is it? And where are they, where you find it within the aquarium. This is really for another fish talk in the early morning. Enough respect to everybody who support. Respect. Catch you next time. Peace out. One love, everybody. One up, one up, one up.